Hi, this is Mike Lyman with UCC, and we welcome you to the Point Safety Orientation. In the next couple hours, we're going to learn how to identify risk, manage risk, and control risk as we go through the Point project. Please pay attention as we go through this orientation the next couple of hours. You're going to learn what tools and helpful devices are in place, such as traffic control and near-miss cards and hazard identification and all the safety points that the team has put together to help this be a safe and successful project. Thanks for watching this meeting. At the end, as the meeting comes to an end and you go out and go to work on the Point of the Mountain project, please keep safety first and foremost for you, for your crews, and for the traveling public. Let's make this a great project. Thank you.
Safety orientation goals. Set expectations for safety performance. Define site-specific hazards. Define site-specific controls. Describe safety requirements for training, PPE, work control, permitting, documentation. We start with the premise that all accidents are avoidable. Superior planning, execution, follow-up, and lesson learning will lead to superior performance. We will use job safety analysis methodology. We will define hazards, define controls, follow up on changing conditions, follow our lessons learned program for accidents and near misses. The Point project safety goals are to have no injuries, accidents, or damage claims. We begin our site-specific hazards with internal traffic. Phasing impacts the size and shape of our work area. Internal traffic pattern must be accounted for prior to starting work daily. We will use some sort of separation between workers and internal traffic when a significant hazard exists. We will use cones for paving, glow sticks for night paving, and other signage or physical barriers as appropriate. Our next hazard is external traffic on the freeway or connecting roadways. Traffic control technicians assist supervisors in mitigating traffic vehicle hazards. Separation from traveling public will be accomplished using appropriate concrete barrier when practical. Otherwise, we will use barrels, clear zones, and recovery zones as appropriate. We will use proper PPE, including an ANSI Class II vest. Reflective gaiters and leggings will also be available. Cell phones and two-way radios are limited to the following personnel: emergency responders, personnel located inside a vehicle, flaggers, riggers and signalers, surveyors. Authorized project personnel may use cell phones and radios as needed, provided that they are situated in a safe area and remain aware of their surroundings. Equipment operators are not allowed to talk, text, email, surf, or otherwise use electronic devices while operating. Personal music devices that use headphones or earphones are prohibited for all project personnel. Placing concrete creates the hazard of concrete burns. PPE will include mud boots with taped tops for deep concrete pours, latex dipped gloves, safety glasses both day and night. Our concrete pavers and bridge deck finishers use augers. Fall restraint will be used on paver rocket launchers. Daily safety briefings will make workers aware of the augers. Bridge construction, MSE wall construction, and other activities will require elevated work. Our main control will be our fall protection program. It consists of signage to exclude non-trained workers from hazards. Handrail installed as early as possible on structures and walls. 100% tie-off required when hazard exists over 6 feet. Workers using harnesses and lanyards must be trained. Horizontal lifelines will be installed on girders prior to placement. Excavations and trenches deeper than 5 feet require sloping, shoring, or a trench box, and a trench excavation permit. Excavations deeper than 4 feet require a secure ladder or other means of egress within 25 feet of each worker. All project soil is presumed to be type C, requiring a 1.5 to 1 slope. Our insurance requires us to hand dig within 5 feet of buried lines. Trench boxes or shoring required for excavations greater than 20 feet deep needs to be engineered. Spoils piles will be located 2 feet back from the edge of the excavation. Housekeeping is a very important aspect of this project. The following is a list of housekeeping expectations. Maintain walkways free from slip, trip, and fall hazards. Maintain construction materials in a tidy, organized, and secure manner. Ensure that changing weather conditions will not cause unsafe conditions. Secure sheet lumber at the end of each shift. Clear snow and ice prior to starting work activities. Maintain lighting in darkness, falls, or weather conditions change. Control dust. Maintain electrical cords. Properly dispose of trash, scrap, debris daily. Keep signage and other reflective communication devices clear of dust, dirt, graffiti, or other obstructions that will impede their effectiveness. Properly place signage for any overhead electrical hazard. Place rebar or impalement protection caps on all vertical hazards exposed 2 inches or greater. There will be confined spaces on the project. A confined space is a space that is able to be entered by a person, is not engineered or designed for humans to continuously occupy, is difficult to get out of. Site-specific examples include batch plant drum, storm drains, other below-grade boxes, water, and other liquid storage tanks. Permit-required confined spaces meet the first 3 parts plus have one of the following hazards: bad atmosphere, engulfment hazard, entanglement hazard, sloped sides or other difficult egress features, explosion hazard. Controls include confined space training, supervisor training, confined space permitting, lockout, tagout, and confined space authorization. Examples of potential energy on our site include electrical, mobile equipment, stored liquids, stacked aggregate, charged utility lines. Controls will vary depending on the type of energy being controlled. Examples include blue stakes and hand digging for utility lines, wheel chocks for vehicles and equipment being maintained, LOTO for maintenance, MSDS for handling chemicals, restricting access to aggregate storage areas. An employee rights bulletin board is located in front of our job office trailer. It explains your employee rights under the law. An MSDS binder is located in job trailer, and web-based compliance assistance is available at msdsonline.com. Login information is located at the MSDS binder. In order to operate construction equipment, you must have prior training by your company. In order to operate a forklift, the training must be documented and a permit must be on your person. In order to operate a crane, you must have a current NCCO certification. A pre-shift inspection or all mobile equipment will be performed daily. Seatbelt usage is mandatory. Other heavy equipment, such as loaders and excavators, require individual company operator approval. Daily pre-shift inspection, no riders. Power tools require the following. The power cord must be intact. The tool must either be grounded or double insulated. Any guards included with the tool from the manufacturer are to be maintained and in place. Half-inch or larger drills require 2 handles. Skill saws require properly gauged blades, that you do not block guard, that you use a sawhorse or other lumber support, never cut on your foot or holding in your hand only. Grinders, cutting wheels require the guard supplied from the manufacturer is in place, face shield and eye protection, hearing protection, only use wheels compatible with the speed of the tool, ring the cutting disc prior to use the discovered cracked or damaged wheels. Powder actuated tools such as Hilti fasteners require operator training and certification. Hot work includes activities that are likely to produce a spark, slag, or other fire-causing source. Hot work also extends to energized electrical work above 50 volts. All hot work on the project requires a hot work permit, located in your safety book. Permits are issued by the area competent person, likely a foreman, for a specific task, area, and duration. Some permits require a fire watch, which can also be required for a time beyond the hot work activity. Project required PPE includes hard hat, ANSI Class II vest, safety glasses or prescription glasses with side shields, work boots, long pants, shirt with at least a 4-inch sleeve. Certain tasks will require the use of face shields with safety glasses while grinding, chainsawing, blowing out saw joints, and other situations. Hearing protection for work noisy areas. Respiratory protection where dust or chemicals require it. The following is a list of project required inspections. Electrical cords prior to each use. Failure criteria, nicks, cuts, wears through area. Separated sheath, missing ground, damaged ends. Full body harness, lanyard daily. The inspection is contained in your weekly safety book. Each equipment crane operator is required to complete a daily inspection supplied by their company prior to using equipment. Horizontal lifelines are inspected daily by a competent person. Excavations are inspected prior to occupancy by workers and after weather events. Scaffolds are inspected daily prior to use by competent person. Each work site is inspected pre- and post-shift by a designated person who is OSHA 30-hour trained at a minimum. Inspection is documented in the UCC Safety Book. This project will use the safety book to conduct a daily safety briefing given by each foreman to their crew. A weekly toolbox meeting will be held in addition. The toolbox topic will be provided by a UCC safety manager. Fire extinguishers are located in construction equipment, job offices, and tool trailers. Put out fire if it is smaller than an office-size garbage can. If you can't operate the extinguisher, evacuate the building and notify clerk. Obey all fire alarms. Evacuate buildings immediately. Unless otherwise instructed, all rally points are in front of the occupied building. Building clerks will perform accountability. Never go back in a building until all clear notification is given. Notify your supervisor in the event of an injury. First aid kits are located in job trailers and job offices. Supervisors, foremen, project managers, and safety personnel are trained to perform first aid. More serious injuries, life or limb threatening, will summon help by calling 911.
In closing, we'd like to thank you for sitting through this orientation with UCC. As you go out and start building the project, our first and foremost obligation is the safety of ourselves and our crews and the traveling public. In closing, go out there and have a safe project. Thank you.
This environmental protection awareness training is designed to give all personnel a basic understanding of the environmental commitments and impacts that can be expected on the Point project. All personnel have a steward to the environment and have a responsibility to protect it. As we all work together during the course of this job, we can work towards the goal of zero environmental violations. Key personnel on the project are Project Manager Travis Farr, Project ECS Matt Tryon, and Construction Manager Mark Rollins. Each and every employee has environmental responsibilities while working on this project. Everyone from laborer to project manager should be on the lookout for environmental compliance issues. All issues should be brought to the attention of the environmental control supervisor. Fines or penalties can be assessed due to non-compliance with environmental requirements or commitments. This project will strive for a zero environmental violation policy. There are several regulatory agencies that oversee construction projects in Utah. Some of these include Utah Department of Environmental Quality, U.S. Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and the EPA. Environmental compliance for this project is not only governed by UDOT but by federal and state agencies. Any and all information regarding environmental information and guidance can be found in the Project Environmental Protection Plan, Project Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan, UDOT Standard Specifications, Section 01355 and 01571, and Utah State Department of Environmental Quality and EPA regulations. UCC encourages an atmosphere of openness. All project personnel are encouraged to communicate any environmental concerns to their supervisor and ultimately to the environmental control supervisor. As a requirement for the construction permit, the ECS will monitor the project weekly and within 24 hours of a rain event with more than a half an inch of precipitation. There are several permits that are required for this project. Some of these permits include the UPDES General Permit for Construction Activities, Fugitive Dust Control Plan, Construction Dewatering and Hydrostatic Testing, and Air Quality Approval Order. All of these permits are governed by Utah Department of Environmental Quality. These permits provide notification to DEQ that construction activities are taking place. They provide work requirements that must be followed for work activities such as land disturbance, dust control, dewatering, and air quality. In addition to the permits mentioned before, there are several components that all construction projects must take into account. These components are water quality, air quality, wildlife resources, cultural resources, hazardous materials, and invasive weed control. The project environmental protection plan must address each of these elements, and how impacts to each will be mitigated. Stormwater quality is a primary concern for the project. As a storm begins to rain, the exposed soil begins to erode, which causes silt and sediment to be washed away. The silt and sediment oftentimes can be washed into storm drains and eventually end up in lakes, rivers, or reservoirs. The Project SWIP and the UDOT Erosion and Sediment Control Field Guide are both tools that are utilized by the ECS in order to control sediment from leaving the project site. Additionally, as mentioned before, the ECS will perform inspections weekly and within 24 hours of a storm event of half-inch or more precipitation. These inspections are used in order to ensure that all sediment controls are in place and functioning properly, and there were no breaches in the controls during the storm event. BMPs, or Best Management Practices, are tools that are used in sediment control. Some of the most widely used BMPs are silt fence, earth berms, drop inlet barriers, check dams, and stabilized construction entrances. While working in the field, be conscious of these BMPs and take care not to damage or dislodge them. If you do damage any of these BMPs, please notify the ECS. Dewatering is typically used when removing groundwater from an excavation and is sometimes referred to as non-storm water discharge. Anytime this takes place, a permit must be in place. The permit enables the Department of Environmental Quality to monitor the water quality as the water leaves the project through tests that are submitted to DEQ. With this being the case, containing the water on site is the best way to handle non-storm water discharge. If the water cannot be contained on site, it must be filtered through BMPs in order to ensure proper water quality before it leaves the project site. Air quality is another issue as described earlier. Air quality is monitored by performing opacity observations. Opacity is measured by a trained professional to determine the amount of dust or particulate matter in the air. There must be a 10% opacity on site and a 20% opacity at the site boundary. Air quality is mostly controlled by the Fugitive Dust Control Plan for the project, which provides guidelines to be followed to control dust. Dust control measures that will be utilized on this project are water application and reduce vehicle and equipment speeds. Wildlife resources, or the acknowledgement of wildlife such as raptors or endangered animals, is a concern of all construction projects. The Point project has identified that there are no endangered or threatened species within the project limits. If wildlife is observed on the project, the ECS should be notified immediately. The discovery of cultural resources is a constant potential on construction projects. Even though it is very unlikely, the discovery of headstones, Indian sites, or buried cultural or historical sites are examples of cultural resources that must be protected. If there is any suspicion that you have stumbled into a cultural resource, these are the steps that must be followed. Suspend work within 100 feet of site or object. Verbally notify UDOT engineer and project ECS. Protect the object. Once the site has been cleared by UDOT archaeologists, work can commence. Hazardous materials is another area of concern on this construction project. Hazardous materials are typically chemicals that are used in construction efforts that can cause harm with human interaction or that can harm the environment if released. The Project Environmental Protection Plan contains the Hazardous Materials Contingency Plan, the SWIP, the Safety Plan, and UDOT Standard Specification, which provide guidance and information on hazardous material safety, storage, cleanup, spill prevention, exposure, and emergencies. Vehicle or equipment fueling and maintenance is the easiest way to release hazardous material into the environment. In order to alleviate this concern, all vehicle fueling and maintenance must be performed away from water, must use secondary containment to prevent spills, and have spill kits and absorbent material available in case of spill. If you stumble across hazardous material in the field, the following steps should be followed. Suspend the work in the area, treat the conditions with extreme caution, verbally notify the project ECS. The project ECS will handle all written notification to the UDOT engineer and DEQ. The project ECS will also facilitate the cleanup. Spill kits are usually filled with absorbent material to help soak up and remove hazardous material from water, dirt, or other surfaces. They are normally contained in large drums or 5-gallon buckets. Absorbent material such as kitty litter can also be used to contain or remove hazardous material. Spill kits can be found at nearby construction yards. If a spill occurs, the following steps should be taken to clean up the spill. First, use absorbent material to soak up the spill. Second, all contaminated rags shall be contained in plastic bags. Third, contaminated soil shall be excavated and contained. Fourth, contaminated soil and rags shall be disposed of by ECS. As mentioned before, with any spill of contaminated material, the ECS shall be notified immediately. Invasive weed control is the control of noxious and invasive weeds being tracked from one project site to another. In order to combat this, all equipment must be brought to this project clean of any muddy residue. Also, prior to the start of construction, Noxious weeds are sprayed before any earth-moving activities start. We would like to thank you all for participating in this environmental awareness training. We hope that you have learned your role and responsibility as a steward to the environment. Again, we encourage all personnel to be on the lookout for environmental issues and report them to the ECS. Together, we can achieve a quality and a productive project with no major environmental impacts.